they do. We all hear it. It's kind of that sound of summer. What she noticed is back on Friday of last week and into the weekend, and even now, she said, Tim, it's not that noisy anymore. What's going on? There's not really a lot of action happening. And so I had to kind of educate myself a little bit on what are cicadas, what do they like, what do they not like. So if you want to use them as a proxy for the temperature, let's go ahead and make a cicada thermometer. So here we go. What do they like to do? When they're singing loudly, that usually means the temperature is somewhere in the 80s to the 90s. Apparently, if it gets above 95, they can get some heat stress, just like we do. But these are cold-blooded creatures. When it gets cold outside, they aren't at their full strength, and they aren't doing everything as they normally do. So when it gets below 70 degrees, or even below 80 a little bit, they slow down. They might not be as noisy. And for example, lately, we've been below 70 the last couple of days, every hour of the day. Well, they tend to be pretty darn just quiet at that point. So to answer her question, I think it was a pretty cool one. Yeah. Yes, there is a relationship between the temperature and the volume of the cicadas in your yard. There's some folklore about crickets too. You can use them as a proxy for a thermometer. Kind of some fun weather folklore. Yeah,
I was going to bring that up too. Crickets, the speed of their chirp is dictated by the temperature as well. And I always feel like that sound of cicadas is the sound of the dog days of summer. It really feels like that's when you hear them the loudest. You also, I will tell you, we get people freaked out. They see the cicada killing wasp. They come out this time of year as well because guess what? They're hunting those cicadas. The funny thing about those things, those are giant hornets and wasps. Sometimes people think of those murder hornets. They're not. They can sting people, but they don't. They kind of go for the cicadas more than anything else. But people see those all the time and freak out a little bit because they come out at the same time the cicadas do. Show's almost over, but we got to go to Lily. Any questions from our viewers? We had some great ones this week.
I will pull one up. What is the lowest record temperature over the summer that we've ever had?
Oh, man. See, we had August yesterday. So, Tim, the question was the lowest high temperature probably in the summer months that you guys have had.
Well, Lily herself should take credit because she just looked these up and put them in the chat. But the answer is the same for both Greensboro and Charlotte. The temperature is 56.
56. Oh, my gosh. Yeah, it's crazy. We had a 59 in August. I thought that was a 56. But I will tell you, I do remember a couple early June days in the past couple summers where it's been very, very nice. So, hey, just a sign of the season. We're almost to fall, and those will be an everyday occurrence. Have a great night, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow right back here.
Welcome to Live Impact News. Our weather impact show just ended with meteorologist Brad Panovich. There was a situation in Nash County a little bit earlier, a couple of hours earlier. Actually, floodwaters have caused an impact. And in fact, 2 people died just this afternoon because of the floodwaters that rose. So local law enforcement did get an update earlier this afternoon about that situation and what exactly happened. Let's go to this now.
To Nash County Communications that a vehicle on 687 North 581 of Spring Hope was swept into a ravine due to the high water. And at that time, Spring Hope Police Department responded to the scene. Spring Hope Fire Department, Nash County Sheriff's Office, and the Fire Marshal's Office of Nash County, and other volunteers, which we'll let you know who those are when the other spokesperson gets up. In this incident, the vehicle was swept off the right side of the road. It went about 35 yards into the ravine or a ditch area that was overflowing with fast-moving water. At that time, the 2 occupants got out of the vehicle, got on top of the vehicle. The vehicle was unstable, it was shaking, and the police officer was on scene from Spring Oak Police Department, Lieutenant Leary, who is standing to my right here. What a heroic act that he did. He risked his own life trying to go out and save these 2 individuals after one of the occupants, a female, fell into the water. She was swept away. At that time, he was trying to get to her, and he became stranded himself. By the time that the rescue crew gets to him and comes back, the second occupant of the vehicle, a male occupant, is also fell into the water and he swept away. A search and rescue was conducted immediately with the use of Rocky Mount Police Department's, Rocky Mount Fire Department Swift Water Team, Spring Hope Fire Department's team, and at that time, efforts were not made to be able to get in to find them. Eventually, both of the individuals were found and both were deceased. The message that I want to send out tonight is we've had several calls today. We've had 3 wrecks, 7 different flooded roads. During these storms, it takes just a little bit of debris in these pipes and things of nature that are going under the roads to turn a low area into a flooded area. I caution you when you're driving at night, when you go into these low-lying areas, that it is acceptable to flooding. If you see that there's water going across the road, if you cannot see that fog line, if you cannot see the yellow line, turn around, don't drown. It's very simple, just to turn around, and you'll be delayed a little bit longer, maybe to take another route to where you're going, or you just can't get there. But in this incident, you have public safety people that are put at risk. We have 2 loss of lives, and it's a very sad situation. At this time, I'm going to turn it over to Sergeant Bissett with the Nash County Sheriff's Office, and he can give you further details. Thank you.
Hey, I'm Kevin Bissett with the Nash County Sheriff's Office, and first off, we'd like to thank all the agencies that assisted in the search and rescue and the water rescue attempt. Currently, we had the Spring Hope Police Department, the Nash County Sheriff's Office, the North Carolina State Highway Patrol, Nashville Police Department, who assisted in the events. We also had Nash County Emergency Management, the Nash County EMS, Middlesex Fire Department, Spring Hope Fire Department, Rocky Mount Fire Department, as well as multiple local swiftwater rescue teams, as well as local drone units to assist during this the search and rescue attempt. Again, our hearts go out to the families that lost their loved ones today. But just as the sheriff has mentioned earlier, it's make sure you're mindful of moving water. Anytime water is on the roadway, it only takes a little bit to actually sweep your cars off. One of the things that we can take back from this is also it's a scary situation, but make sure you remain calm. And again, anytime you have concerns, it's easier to take the long way home versus trying to drive through moving water.
At this time, is there any questions from the media?
Were the deceased people from the area?
They were from the area. They were from the immediate area. They knew the road system up there.
I guess you're going to release their names later after families are notified?
That is correct. We're in the process now of notifying the family, and we want all the family to be notified to make sure that everybody knows, because my heart goes out to this family. Somebody that's traveling down the road and you expect them to be at a location and they end up losing their lives. What a sad situation.
Are we allowed to get the ages of the deceased at all?
I don't want to give those out because I don't want people to start speculating who in the family has not come home today. That will be after. We'll put a press release out of who they are and the ages.
Do we know how deep the water actually got and how quickly it got that deep?
I think it quickly got there within probably an hour. When I first arrived on scene, and I was 45 minutes afterwards, the water in that ravine area was up to the headlights. And just as quick as it came, it went away that quick. It started dropping down, and it's still rushing water at the location at this time, but it's contained probably back in its banks or close to it. But it had extended out from the ditch area or the ravine area, probably 75 yards beyond that, and across the road. It was impassable. Within an hour, it had started coming back down.
Can you tell us about the condition of the officer that was trying to rescue?
I'll have the officer to step up here in just 1 minute. It's Lieutenant here, Leary, and he'll get up and speak to that. Any other questions? Okay, Lieutenant?
Any questions at all, ladies and gentlemen?
What's your first name, Lieutenant Leary?
Jason.
Thank you.
Tell us what happened right out there.
I was the second officer on scene with Spring Oak Police Department. One of my guys was already on scene. He had called it in. I arrived to assist him. Once we were there, again, as Sheriff Stone said, both of these subjects were on the van. As I was calling in for a extension ladder for a fire truck to respond to get to the people, we were telling them to stay still, you're fine, don't move. As I turned around, my officer told me she's in the water. And when I turned around to look, I saw her partially submerged. A distance about 25 feet away from me. I thought that I could make a difference, so I ran and dove in, tried to grab her. The water was moving extremely fast. It was deep, it was over my head, and I never got to her. Once she went under, I never saw her again.
What time of day was this?
The call came out, I believe, at 2:14, isn't that right, Sheriff? Yes, sir. About 2:14.
Kind of, what kind of, I know you kind of just, in the moment, it's muscle memory, you jump in, what was going through your mind?
Just trying to get to her. I saw that she had an arm out of the water. I tried to grab her. And then when she submerged, I went under as well, trying to reach for her, but there was so much debris, so much fallen trees, bushes, things floating. There was a tree that was completely underwater, horizontal, that you couldn't see, that I got tied up in and got over it. Honestly, I wasn't thinking about anything, just trying to make a difference, just trying to help her, that's all.
There's no training that can put you through something like that, right?
You do what you can. The best you can do is the best you can do sometimes.
How are you doing now? What's going through your mind now?
I'm fine. I'm good. Again, as like Sheriff Stone said, our condolences to the family. We really feel for them, and on behalf of Spring Oak Police Department, we're here for them. If they reach out to us, we'll be glad to help them.
You guys regularly patrol this area. Is this an area that floods regularly, or had you ever seen anything like this in this area?
I have not seen floods like that since Hurricane Floyd in this area, and it was just amazing how fast it came. Flash flooded. We were actually working several intersections in Spring Hope that had flooded, trash cans washing down the street, that type of thing. So it happened quick.
Were you talking to people beforehand while they were on the roof trying to get on
The water was moving so fast it was noisy. So we were yelling at them saying, don't move, stay where you are, which is all we could do. Fire department was en route, and they responded as quickly as they could get there, but unfortunately just not in time.
And where were the two found?
They were actually in the ravine. The one was found closer to the truck, and the other, the victim was found, I'd say about 20 yards down farther from him.
Does anyone else like to speak?
Yeah. And again, it's first and foremost, our condolences goes out.
All right, we're going to get an update on a 6th rabies case in Mecklenburg County at 7 p.m. Notification rolled through from the Charlotte Mecklenburg Animal Care and Control Unit. We were notified by their liaison that another rabies case was tabulated just today. So that alert is sent to residents on or near Arbor Creek Drive in Charlotte. That's the 28269 zip code. Apparently one bat in that area of Mecklenburg County tested positive for rabies. There was no human or domestic pet exposures, but they are putting this out to let folks know. Just giving you some information, and this is, like I said, the 6th positive case in Mecklenburg County for 2025 as a whole. Just to give you some perspective, in 2024 there were 14 cases, 10 raccoons, 1 bovine, 1 bat, a feline, and a fox. And then the years preceding that, in 2023, 14, 2022, 14, 2021 had the highest case out of all these years at 21, and then 2020 with 15. So trending towards the average number of cases, just to give you an idea. And there are additional resources on the rabies virus, also some information. And in fact, Animal Care and Control, they have a community outreach, a rabies vaccine clinic that takes place on the 2nd Saturday of every month at the Charlotte Vehicle Operations Center on 2725 Beam Road in Charlotte. So that clinic starts at 8 a.m. running through 10:45 a.m. So for anyone who needs a rabies vaccine for a pet, something that you could obviously do there, but wanted to update folks as that news just rolled in a little bit ago. We have been watching and listening in on this Mecklenburg County commissioners meeting. Right now, they're discussing affordable housing. There's a big topic, of course, about the funding of public transit here in Mecklenburg County as it pertains to a 1-cent sales tax. That will also be discussed, and we'll have that for you tonight at 11. But let's listen in for right now.
I'm pointing out what the law states, and that the way in which it's being enforced directly contradicts with what is specified. Therefore, I'm not trying to change the law. Rather, I'm asking that we uphold the law. If the law states that something will be done in a certain way, then we must follow that way. Laws do not change arbitrarily. That is tyranny. Constitutionalism demands that the laws evolve only through suffrage. Therefore, it's up to the people to decide whether or not the Constitution applies to them, and not a judge or a state. So I know that you're going to go and you're going to ask your city attorney right after we're done if this is true, if what he's saying is real. And before you choose to rely upon their advice, just understand that they're going to point you to a Supreme Court case from 1884 called Hurtado versus California. The Supreme Court of the United States has no constituted authority to alter, amend, or destroy the Constitution of the United States. The Constitution is the foundation, not a judgment ruling. God bless. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you very much. All right, next we'll move forward with our agenda. We're going to move to appointments. First up is the Building Development Commission. Reappointments are needed on the Building Development Commission for 2 3-year terms expiring July 31st, 2028. John Phillips and Jesse Sossaman are eligible for reappointment. Is there a motion to reappoint John Phillips and Jesse Sossaman? Moved and seconded. Any unreadiness? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Next. Appointment is needed on the Building Development Commission to fill 1 3-year term expiring July 31st, 2028. National Association of Remodeling Industry slot. The National Association of the Remodeling Industry of Greater Charlotte recommends Mr. DeFabian.
So moved. Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded to appoint Mr. DeFabian. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Next up, an appointment is needed on the Building Development Commission to fill 1 3-year term expiring July 31st, 2028. Charlotte Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling Contractors Association slot.
So moved. Second.
Charlotte Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling Contractors Association recommends Mr. McClintock. Is there a motion to?
So moved. Second. Jam.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. Any unreadiness? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Next up is the appointment to Mecklenburg EMS Joint Agency Board of Commissioners. A motion is needed to appoint Michael Slitz, Senior Vice President and Chief Clinical Officer, Novant Health, Charlotte Region, to the Mecklenburg EMS Joint Agency Board of Commissioners to fill the unexpired term of Saad Atisham, expiring December 31st, 2025, as a Novant representative.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any unreadiness? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. Next, we'll move to Historic Landmarks Commission. Nominations or appointment is needed on the Historic Landmarks Commission to fill one 3-year term expiring July 31st, 2028. The chair of the HLC recommends Jason Tapp or Matthew Browder. Is there a motion or any nominations?
So moved.
Commissioner Powell.
Motion to appoint Jason Tapp.
Okay, Jason Tapp was the recommended person.
Second.
Okay, it's been, I think let's see what any other nominations. So we've got Commissioner Leek, then Commissioner Griffin.
Destiny Crawford, District 2.
Good. Destiny Crawford, District 2. Any other nominations?
I support Destiny Crawford.
Okay, but it's got to come back, right, Madam Clerk?
Yes.
All right, are there any other nominations before we close this out? Okay, so Madam Clerk, we've got Jason Tapp and Destiny Crawford. We'll take that up in September, right?
Okay, yes.
All right, thank you. All right, now we're at the point where you all have been waiting patiently, so thank you very much. At this point, we're going to move to the public hearing for projects for advancing vehicle infrastructure enhancements, PAVE Act. Need a motion to open the public hearing and receive comments from the public regarding the PAVE Act.
So moved.
Moved and seconded. Any unreadiness? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. We're going to open the public hearing. We have quite a few speakers. Remember, we've got 2 podiums. I'm going to call a group of speakers, so just see whatever podium's available or whatever side you're on, you can come and just wait. So I'm going to call this first group. First up, actually, I'm sorry, Madam Clerk, you did give me, there is a change in the order due to a special accommodation. All right, the first group is going to be Cassidy Hooper, Robert Callender, Marlon Stover, and Joey Esquivel. And colleagues, just so you know, the order did change because of a special accommodation, and as they are making their way down, up next would be Jennifer Roberts, then John Autry, Clayton Seeley, James Hare, and Jerry Kingsley. Just, you're not coming as a group, it's individuals, but I just wanted to let you know where you are in the order. So again, the first group is making their way down, then it'll be Jennifer Roberts, John Autry, Clayton Seeley.
They're going to be right there.
Oh, I'm sorry, am I looking at the wrong list?
Oh, there's a
they're
mic
up there.
They're going to be up here.
Oh, they're going to be up there. That's perfect, okay. Okay, I'll go back to Dr. Penn. Thank you for that.
You didn't call the first two.
Jim Braxton not on there.
Yeah, I'm sorry. We'll get them. We'll get them. I got a different list. Excuse us one second. So, Madam Clerk, I had a different list, so there were 2 people that I didn't have on this other list, so I'll work on this one. So let's hear, we have a group up top. You get up to 10 minutes, and then we'll go with the order that I called, and then I'll reverse back. Cassidy Hooper.
Good evening, fellow citizens of Charlotte. My name is Cassidy Hooper. I'm a Charlotte native. I've been blind since birth. I'd like to start off by asking you to imagine something. Imagine not being able to drive, but having to go by the mercy of somebody else. My fellow citizens, it is important that this PAVE Act is put on the ballot in November for the following reasons. Number 1, having microtransit for those people who are blind or visually impaired will create a sense of independence to be able to access the light rail. Currently, I use something called STS, which is a CATS-funded bus system for people with disabilities who don't usually use the county city buses. The problem is that a lot of times you can't really get home until 6:30, 7 o'clock. But if you were in that situation, wouldn't you want to be home in time to visit with your families a little bit before you had to get back in bed to get ready for work the next day? So I think that it would be more beneficial to have this on the ballot. Also, it creates more opportunities for the blind to be able to go to work. Where I work at Lion Services, and my fellow friends here work at Lion Services, we all take STS, some of us, but some people have to take other transportation. But even so, not everybody can get that same transportation if you're in Iredell County trying to get to Lion Services or Lake. Also, it would be, and Charlotte's growing. 16,000 people in Charlotte are blind. That's a big number. So I just think that having this microtransit would be beneficial. That way we don't have to sit in traffic when we can get to our doctor appointments in time, just like you.
Handicap.
The microphone right in front of me.
I don't know. Joey, I think.
Am I ready? Yep. Hello, everyone. Hold on a minute. I don't think I'm on the mic yet. There we go. Hello, everyone. My name is Joey Esquivel, and I, like my friend Cassidy, am a Charlotte native and has been blind since birth. And I, too, use STS, which they do the best they can do, but it's a very overworked service. In the mornings, not so bad, but after getting off work at 4, I'm tired, my head is spinning, and I have 2 hours of sitting on a stiff board trying not to squish my coworker beside me and a bus that may or may not bounce like a basketball. And it's not fun. And like Cassidy said, we don't get home until 6, 6:30, or 7 o'clock, which means we literally have to go right back to bed and right back to work. But if we had microtransit, which is last mile transit, it would take us from, it would take us from the Sugar Creek, or it would take us from our place to Sugar Creek Light Rail, and we can either get the light rail, go straight home, or if we wanted it to take 2 hours to get home because our senses are warped, we can actually go to like Midnight Diner or something, or go down to Trade and Tryon and listen to the fountain, all the while stimulating the economy of Mecklenburg County, because you'd think you're going to go to Midnight Diner and buy food? Nah. And also the traffic is straight up terrible, man. And we're not getting any better. So I urge you, our esteemed county commissioners, to put this on the ballot so that we can look past the days of 2 hours on stiff boards and sitting in traffic and actually enjoy our commute home for a change. Thank you very much, and have a great day.
Fellow citizens, esteemed board, my name is Robert Callender Jr. I'm here on behalf of Lion Services Incorporated. We're a nonprofit organization and military contractor. We are creating helmet harnesses, keeping helmets on the head of our armed forces, hydration packs, and other safety equipment, as well as exercise gear for the Army and Navy. I wanted to thank Commissioner Powell. I'm in your district, and I wanted to thank you for your compassion and effectiveness. I use microtransit. I catch a cab, which is the quick pick cab company provided by the MTS, Mecklenburg Transit System. They get me to the Lion Services factory at about 6:45 in the morning. We clock in at 7:30, work full time, hundreds of blind people. I get in the cab again at 4 o'clock, get home in Cornelius just about 5. It's very smooth, it's very effective. The microtransit has allowed me to reestablish my independence, fund my household, to support a family member, and helping the rest of my family, kind of helping us all be where we need to be. I've been blind since 2022. I'm 43 years old, working full time now. I use the roads of this county and the microtransit.
and I'm here to advocate for increased funding. It's very important, very important. And I'd like to thank you all for your attention, fellow citizens, esteemed board. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Marlon Stover, also a native here in Charlotte. I'm a little older than some of these folks behind me. Go back a little farther than them. I've been legally blind for the majority of my adult life, relied on public transportation. I can go back to catching public transit on the square. When downtown Charlotte closed at 6 o'clock, if you can imagine that. You know, also with catching transit in my earlier days with nowhere to catch it to, but Eastland Mall, Carolina Place, and that was even a 2-hour trip. Things have gotten a lot better since then for people with disabilities and vision impairment with catching public transit, but this is what we've been waiting for. This has been probably 4 or 5 years in the making of trying to get this put on. I myself, like a lot of my colleagues, like I say, this is what we've been waiting on. It's going to increase independence for us. It's going to open the doors for employment opportunities, opportunities to enjoy social and cultural experiences, just like everybody else in this community. I'm encouraging you all to really think about this and get this put on. We over halfway through this fight. They started building 485 when I was in high school. Wow. So I understand what 30-year plans are. You know, patience is something that I know I have. Being visually impaired, you have to. And you have to rely on other people to get you from point A to point B. I've seen the work that goes into this transit plan. I think Cass has done a wonderful job. You know, set in with management and seeing the hard work that's went into putting this plan together. It's all inclusive. You know, people grumble about this city being a major city, you know, for years and years. Well, this is your opportunity to advance mass transit, to make it all inclusive for everybody. You know, I not only advocate for people with disabilities, but like I say, as a native of this city, I've seen it grow, and I want it to be beneficial to everybody and grow to its fullest potential. Microtransit and rail has been a life changer for people with disabilities, especially vision impaired people like myself. Being able to travel independently is important to me. I want to be able to get out and experience everything that everybody else does in this city. I've been paying taxes around here a long time, and I want to be able to enjoy it just like everybody else. So please consider this. It's going to make a world of a difference for a lot of us. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. So let me get this order right. I missed 2 names, so let me recall this roster. First up should have been Dr. Blanche Penn. Dr. Penn, are you here? If you're here, make your way down. She is not here? She left. Okay. Then it'll be Braxton Winston, who's making his way down, and then Jennifer, you're up next. Jennifer Roberts. And after Jennifer, it'll be John Autry. After John, it'll be Clayton Seeley. And Mr. Winston, you will have 3 minutes.
Thank you very much. Good evening, County Commissioners and Manager. My name is Braxton Winston. As you know, through your experiences in your positions, multiple things can be true at the same time. You're being asked to hold a referendum on whether or not to fund a plan that will increase revenue to invest in much-needed infrastructure. However, this tax does not promise to provide the solutions that we actually need to effectively move people into, and through Mecklenburg County. It is a tax with strings attached that will ultimately handcuff future generations from investing, just like we feel today as our community navigates the segregation created by transportation investments made by urban renewal policies of governing bodies generations ago. This is a maximum tax that promises minimal returns. The original reason to increase the sales tax rate by nearly 14% was to build what was supposed to be the foundation of a regional public transportation network. For more reasons than can be explained here, the City of Charlotte and the MTC failed to do the work to effectively create the regional buy-in for regional transit and transportation solutions. Because of this failure to do the important work of coalition building, we went to Raleigh in desperation, and we were handed an option that charges our people the most while giving them the bare minimum. Beyond the red line, there is no commitment to future rail development anywhere in the county. The investments in our bus system include no new lines. Benches and shelters are certainly great, but again, that is the bare minimum that we should expect out of a system in a community like ours. It leans on the unproven solution of a publicly funded rideshare option that relies on putting more cars on the road when the goal once was the opposite, to put less cars on the road. And at a time when it cost the government about $5 million per mile of sidewalk construction, the public money that is going to road projects will be difficult to create real, scalable, and noticeable change throughout our community. When this referendum fails, I hope you consider the quarter-cent sales tax that you have that has no strings attached to it to fully invest in transforming our bus system, to get the red line on the tracks, and to lead the important work that elected leaders must do to create a truly regional solution for the regional transportation and transit issues that we have. Thank you very much.
Good evening, friends and former colleagues, and great to see you in this role, Mr. Manager Tyrone. Great to see you. Great to see so many friends in the audience. Even though we're holding different signs, we're all still friends. So I'm a big supporter of public transportation. I'm a big supporter of transit. I have served on the MTC. I have served on the city. I have served on the county board. And I believe this is a regressive tax in a year when people are losing health care, they're losing food benefits, they're losing their jobs, and the pain is going to be felt by hourly workers. They're going to pay the majority, the bigger proportion of their incomes for this, and yet get the least out of the way this is structured now, because the buses get 20%, whereas the rail and the roads for the payback get 40%. Now, food is not taxed, but other things people buy every week, paper goods, clothing, school supplies, fast food, all that will be taxed. In fact, if you go to McDonald's and get a meal, your tax will be 9.25%. That's higher than New York City's sales tax. That's not to mention foods like soda and chocolate. Also, we got tariffs coming in. We know that inflation will hit many of those goods, so the 1% increase today is going to be even higher on the families like the women and children we heard tonight who are struggling, who are having a hard time even keeping pace right now. We know wages have not kept pace with the cost of living, so $240 or $290 a year, I've seen different calculations, may seem like a rounding error if you've got a white-collar job. But if you're a struggling family, that is a huge increase. Remember, 400,000 people in our county, that's 1 out of 3, are on Medicaid. And that may be going away. Job growth, we just saw, despite the woman who got fired for saying this, but job growth is actually decreasing, and not especially in manufacturing. Corporations have been cutting back on donations. We know that the support for things like the Pride Parade, immigrant organizations, Black History events, et cetera, the list goes on because of DEI fears. We know that the support for Black and brown communities is decreasing already. We don't know what business bottom line is going to look like a year from now, how many of them have been supporting DEI policies. And finally, an increase in supply, buses coming with more frequency, that does not guarantee an increase in demand when you haven't met the other challenges that people face, like safety concerns and the ability of crosstown routes, et cetera. So there's no confidence that more people will ride. So there is a viable alternative, which Braxton just mentioned, the quarter-cent sales tax with no restrictions, no handcuffs. You have the authority. It has more flexibility. You could still do microtransit and build the better bus, and then work to find more creative, innovative, and inclusive ways to fund the rest of the system. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So we'll have John Autry, Clayton Seeley, James Hare, Jerry Kingsley.
Good evening, wow, it looks different from over here, doesn't it? Yeah. Good evening, everyone, and I appreciate this opportunity to be with you. I recognize a lot of faces behind that desk, and I recognize a lot of faces up here in the House. So I want to talk about preemption of local authority, because as I remember the history over the last couple of years, we had a transportation plan. We had a transportation plan that we took to Raleigh to get the authority to put a referendum forward to pay for that transportation plan. But someone who didn't live in Mecklenburg County and wasn't going to be contributing to that tax base said an off comment about more roads, you need more roads. Well, frankly, our spending on roads is unsustainable and hardly worth it. So when it comes to the local authority that we elect you folks to serve under, is to create these plans and then make it to the public the case for why the plan should be supported. But I learned a long time ago too many lessons about preemption of local authority. For instance, I was part of the Citizens Committee that was redistricting the Board of County Commission in 2011. Whenever we had a plan that was approved, and in the 6.5 miles that took me to drive from the government center after we voted to approve it and get home with it, the next thing we knew was I had a call from a reporter from the Observer to want to know about why a representative was stripping the language out of a bill and redistricting the county commission of their own. So this Cotham bill is problematic in that you're having not just the ability for the legislature to reach down from Raleigh and affect the policy and overrun the policy that Mecklenburg's elected officials have put forward. You're not just letting them poke their nose under the tent, you're giving them a seat at the table by those two appointments from the Speaker of the House and the President Pro Tem of the Senate. And I can just tell you that from my experience from the last 8 years, if you approve the PAVE Act and put it forward, I hope you'll pardon this pun, it's not intentional, but down that road lies pain. Thank you.
Thank you. Clayton, I see you making your way. James Hare, Jerry Kingsley.
Good evening, Commissioners and fellow residents of Mecklenburg County. I'm Clayton Seeley, a Charlotte native. Tonight I find myself in an unusual position, at odds with some of the very people I've stood shoulder to shoulder with in the fight for a more equitable and accessible Charlotte. And honestly, I hope I see some of them at the tailgate on Friday. I'm here because I believe this moment calls for courage, not comfort. We cannot let perfect be the enemy of good, and we cannot afford to wait 5 or 10 or 15 more years hoping that the General Assembly might flip blue. We can't build a city on wishful thinking while gridlock threatens to delay all of our progress and choke us. Delaying action on transit doesn't hurt the wealthy, it hurts the working people who need options right now. Today, Charlotte's sales tax ranks 87th in the nation. If this passes, we'll move to 47th, tied with 16 other cities. This is not a radical leap, and it's not more than New York City, unlike what former mayor back there said. It's a necessary step towards the connected and sustainable future our region deserves. Now, I understand the concerns. I share many of the same as the former Mayor Pro Tem right up there. A regressive tax isn't ideal, and let's be honest, what we're building is a transit system 30 years too late. We're way behind the curve. But waiting for the perfect solution while the clock runs out on our infrastructure crisis, that's not leadership, that's surrender. So I want to be clear. I will vote for this referendum. I will promote it and I will defend it. Not because it's everything we want, but because it's what we need to move forward. And I promise you this, if this passes, you will hear from me every single day. Until the dollars are spent wisely, the plan is rewritten with equity at its core, and every resident of Mecklenburg County sees themselves in this vision for transit. Let's act, then let's make it better together.
James, and then Jerry Kingsley.
All right. Good evening, everyone.
Hold on one second, James. I don't want you to be distracted while you're talking. There we go. All right, the floor
I wish
is
I had a
yours.
little dance for you all. Put that music there. I'm James Hare. It's an honor to be here. I've lived in Charlotte for about 7 years now, and just kind of wanted to share a little bit of my experience. When I first moved here, I came from a state where I lived most of my life with really very little access to transit or any walkable community. And moving to Charlotte was really an awakening for me as a young adult. Being able to live in South End and Uptown where I had transit, miles of safe walking, biking, all at my doorstep. That was something new for me, and I had a car, but I didn't need to use it most days. This saved me time, money, and provided a newfound joy in just exploring my community and my city without stress. And that awakened in me kind of a passion for how effective urban planning can dramatically enrich lives. And there's countless studies that show that quality of life dramatically increases with these ingredients. And I want that possibility that I enjoyed when I lived in South End and Uptown to exist everywhere in Charlotte for all of my fellow Charlotteans. Sadly, for many in this city, as we all know, it's not safe or feasible, let alone convenient, to walk around to get to your essentials or to your employment, or bike, or take transit. So I think most Charlotteans across the spectrum would want our city to be one where that's possible for most of its citizens. Whether you yourself want to walk or take transit or bike more often, or whether you'll simply benefit from less traffic on the roads, this plan accounts for it all. And as the previous speaker said, we really can't afford to do nothing with the rate that the city continues to grow. So please give Charlotte voters the chance to vote on this and express what I think most people in this community want in their day-to-day life. So please approve this transportation referendum, and together as a community, I'm sure that this can lay the foundation for a greater Charlotte for all who live or visit the city for generations to come. Thank you.
Thank you. As Jerry Kingsley is coming, let me announce the next group of speakers: Bill Staten, Carol Hardison, Mel Watt, and Malcolm Graham.
All right.
Yeah, hi, County Commissioners and fellow citizens. My name is Jerry Kingsley, and I'm here to ask you to vote yes to put the 1 cent sales tax referendum on the ballot for November's election. I'm a Mecklenburg County resident in District 4. I'm also representing the Sierra Club, where I chair the local Central Piedmont group, and at the state level, I serve as the vice chair for the North Carolina chapter of the Sierra Club. There are many reasons for placing this referendum on November's ballot. Chief among them is the need to allow the voters of Mecklenburg County to decide on the merits of this proposal for themselves. Without the ability to cast a vote on this important topic, we would be deciding no for these voters without giving them the opportunity to weigh in themselves. Now, while the constraints on how this money will be spent are not ideal, I would have preferred not to have 40% devoted to road improvements. That was a compromise with the North Carolina General Assembly, as we know, that enables us to at least consider putting this referendum on the ballot. Now, some of this road money can be allocated to necessary street improvements like crosswalks, bicycle infrastructure, sidewalk extensions, and repair. Yesterday morning, I personally stood in the rain for 10 or 20 minutes at my bus stop because there's no bench or shelter there. I got soaked. I sat in work all day in wet clothes and soggy old sneakers. Now, I understand that some of this 20% that's going to be devoted to bus improvements will be used to add shelters and benches at potentially thousands of our bus stops. What a nice.
I'm going to give you a little context as this continues here, and we'll continue to monitor this public hearing situation, portion, I should say, of the PAVE Act hearing here. PAVE Act was signed into law, so you're hearing people discuss House Bill 948, which is the Projects for Advancing Vehicle Infrastructure Enhancements Act, authorizing Meck County to place that 1% local sales tax referendum on the November ballot to fund transportation upgrades, which is why you're hearing people for and against, mostly so far for that being on the referendum, and they're giving specific reasons as to why. We saw those individuals who obviously use public transit for a daily commute and how accessible they need it to be for them. So some great comments from local residents. Now, this will help with road improvements, expanded bus and rail transit options, and even light rail developments like the Red Line that we've been talking about at length, and even potentially an airport to East Charlotte line that's been in discussions. Obviously, continuing that Red Line into Matthews, those discussions are ongoing. The mayor of Matthews has been very vocal about that discussion and really wanting more, of a voice in these discussions. So there's some bipartisan support and some growth that's really being targeted here. So that's why this is such a big portion of tonight's meeting. We're going to go from this now to Oklahoma, where there's a town hall with Beto O'Rourke hosted by the Oklahoma County Democratic Party. So we'll go to this in Oklahoma City right now.
They're not doing it for the Democratic Party. They're not doing it for the people of Texas alone. They're doing it for each and every single American, Democrat, Republican, independent, native-born, immigrant alike. All of us. Todos unidos. And right now, they need your help. If you want to support them, if you've been figuring out, trying to find a way to get into this fight, here's what we can do. If you text the word FIGHT to 20377, FIGHT to 20377, we're going to send you back a link. You click on that link and you can donate 100 cents on the dollar will go to those Texas Democrats for as long as it takes to stop this steal of 5 congressional seats in the state of Texas. So I want you, before we leave here today, it doesn't matter if it's $2 or $20 or $200. It's the money that's important because it's the food, it's the flights, it's the lodging costs that we have to worry about. But it's also just the moral support. When they see that these donations are coming in from folks in Oklahoma City tonight, as they saw them come in from folks in Kansas City 2 nights ago, Omaha, Nebraska, last night, we have somebody from Omaha, but just one, wherever you are. You know what? That's going to strengthen them at this moment that we are depending, all of us, on their courage. And just to make it interesting, because we have been raising money for these Texas Democrats, that same Attorney General Ken Paxton, who spoke, this is ironic, it's perverse, he spoke at the Stop the Steal rally on the 6th of January 2021 in Washington, D.C., as they stoked and incited an insurrection that invaded the citadel of our very democracy, the first time it has happened in American history since the War of 1812. It's the same one where they constructed a gallows, where they proposed to hang the Vice President of the United States for not bending the knee to Donald Trump and defying the Constitution. And sorry, my microphone's going out. So this is the guy that we're talking about, who was twice indicted on securities fraud charges. And ladies and gentlemen, he was impeached by the Texas legislature, which is a Republican majority institution, on charges of bribery himself. And he's accusing us of some kind of fraud as we try to stop the theft of these 5 congressional seats. Well, you know what? We welcome his investigation. We welcome his attack. We welcome their hatred right now, because it proves that we're doing the right thing. Now, some of you are saying, Beto, isn't this a little bit early to be talking about elections in 2026? I mean, we're still in the summer of 2025. I want you to pay attention to this history. We all know that it doesn't repeat, but very often it rhymes. From the moment that he was named chancellor in January of 1933, it took Hitler 53 days to destroy German democracy. In those 53 days, at every major turn, every time he defied the German Constitution, every time he exceeded his authority, every time he tried to break the rule of law in that country, the German press, the German politicians, and most importantly, the German public did far too little, too late. In 53 days, this guy goes from being a buffoonish thug who can barely hold power to the undisputed master and dictator of the German people. Now, you and I would like to think if we were alive back in 1932, 1933, we would have done something. We would have stepped up. We would have resisted. We would have fought back. We would have prevented this abuse of power and the destruction of one of the great democracies and republics on the continent. Well, here's our chance. In the 6 months since Donald Trump has been sworn in, he has defied the co-equal judicial branch of government, ignoring federal court order after federal court order. He has dismantled congressionally mandated and chartered agencies and departments like USAID and the Department of Education. He has colluded with corrupt public officials, and he has dispensed with nearly every single constitutional protection and safeguard that up until now has kept us a nation of laws and not a nation of kings. And now, in front of our eyes, he seeks to grab more power. And I'll tell you why. He understands that his policies, whether it's kicking millions of people off of Medicaid, whether it's transferring hundreds of billions of dollars of our wealth that we made and produced to the richest 1% in this country, or terrorizing hard-working Americans doing back-breaking work with these Gestapo tactics and roundups that we're seeing across the country. This stuff is not popular in America. And without the theft of these 5 congressional seats, he has no hope of holding on to power in the House of Representatives. And if he loses that power, there will be a check on his lawlessness. There will be accountability. There will be accountability for his crimes and his corruption as far as they go with whomever he may have been associated. You know right now, none of us were invited, and that's why we're here, but J.D. Vance at the Vice Presidential Observatory Mansion is hosting a meeting with the Attorney General and the Director of the FBI, and not a single one of the victims of Jeffrey Epstein, to determine how they are going to hide the truth and deny those victims, those girls who were raped and trafficked, the justice that they deserve in this country. He knows that if he loses the House of Representatives, there will be a reckoning. There will be an accounting. And he also knows that should he lose his grip on power, there will be free and fair elections going forward in this country. And remember, this is the guy who promised you, before he won the election in 2024, that he would be a dictator on day one, that November 2024 election would be the last one that you would ever have to vote in. So let's pay attention to him and believe him when he tells us what he plans to do. What we are doing here tonight, it is not just supporting those Democrats in Texas, as important as that is, and I want you to do that, to save these 5 seats. It is also important that we do the work right now to win the congressional seat that we're in today in Oklahoma City. It is a seat that we can win and that we should win. And given how close the balance of power is in the House of Representatives right now, they have a 3-seat majority, the MAGA Republicans do right now, winning this seat in this district. And I understand that Gina Nelson, when she ran for superintendent statewide, she won this district with 51% of the vote. We can win it again in 2026. We got to get behind her now. But, and this is important, and I want you to think about it, especially the older folks in the room. I'm going to be 53 years old in September, okay? Young to some of you old geezers, old to some of you terribly young folks, right? I'm right in the middle, I'm just too old or I'm just too young, who knows? But if you're like me, I've got 3 kids, an 18-year-old, a 17-year-old, and a 14-year-old. And those 3 are my conscience. And I fear the questions that they are bound to ask me sooner or later. Hey, Dad, when all this was going on, in 2025, clear as day what was happening to this country, what did you do? You're going to have to answer that question yourself, no matter how old you are. At some point down the road, the generations that follow ours will want to know. Because if we fail to stop this steal in Texas, if we fail to win political power in the House, I believe the concentration of authoritarian power in the hands of the president will be nearly unstoppable after 2026. What that means is more masked, plainclothes federal agents without warrants or badges sweeping our friends and families and community members off the streets, illegally detaining them, illegally imprisoning them, illegally deporting them to countries they have never been to before, whose languages they do not speak, including into that gulag in El Salvador, out from which you are bound never to come. It means that more of Trump's political opponents will be targeted for retribution, for persecution, and yes, let's pay attention, even for violence. And it means it is far more likely that a complicit, corrupt, Republican-controlled Congress will roll out the royal red carpet for a 3rd Trump term. That is our future unless we avert it. And in a government of, by, and for the people, and I still believe in those words, the power is in this room with all of us, but we got to use it. And so we are so conditioned, especially after the first Trump term, to think about fighting back. And I get that, but I've been trying to think about what we could do better than fight back, because fighting back really hasn't worked for us.
All right, we're going to leave this town hall with Beto O'Rourke in Oklahoma City and go back to the public hearing section on the PAVE Act as we hear public comments from people in Charlotte.
From MEC in November. Thank you.
So we'll have Larry Shaheen, David Longo, Mayor Rusty Knox, and Robert McCutcheon. You have 3 minutes.
Will everyone who's here in support of Yes for MEC please stand?
Everybody who supports it, stand.
Ladies and gentlemen of the commission, my name is Larry Shaheen. I'm an attorney with the McIntosh Law Firm, and I have been blessed beyond belief to be a part of the implementation team that has helped pass the PAVE Act and bring it before you now. I have to tell you, I didn't know if this moment would ever come, that we would ever be before you with this opportunity. What you see before you is a group of committed Charlotteans and citizens of the county of Mecklenburg who know the historic nature of the vote before you tonight, and with any luck, the vote we will take in November. I need, and I cannot express the amount of gratitude that I feel to this body, to the city of Charlotte, to the towns of Davidson, Huntersville, Cornelius, Mint Hill, Matthews, Pineville, all of whom came together to put this bill together. Yes, there were disagreements. Yes, there were compromises. Yes, there were things that we fought about, just like family. But what has happened time and time again has been the coming together of this community to understand that now is the moment. This diverse group you see before you understands that for us to take the next step for jobs and opportunity in our community, we must grow. We must invest in our community. And the data shows that if we pass this referendum, the return will be tenfold. That's not a guess. And we can't wait. We cannot wait for folks who would say there is a better plan or there is a better funding source, because I can promise you, having spent 2.5 years on this process with all of these people who I don't agree with all the time, and they certainly don't agree with me all the time, but we're here together. This is the definition of coalition building. This is the definition of government. This is how we get things done. Mecklenburg County can't afford to wait. Our community can't afford to wait. Every day we wait in gridlock. We need these investments to be able to move our city in the direction that will make every citizen from every corner of this county have an opportunity to succeed and get where they need to go without having to wait. I urge you to put this on the ballot, and to everyone listening, please vote for this in November. Thank you.
And to think, I knew him when he was a little kid running through the grammar school that my kids went to. Chairman Jarrell, County Commissioners, thank you for your service to our community and your thoughtful consideration of this important ballot referendum. My name is David Longo, and I'm the founder, CEO, and chairman of CBI Workplace Solutions, and I'm also honored to serve as the chair of the Charlotte Regional Business Alliance. Our business is located in Lower South End, and when I started my business in 1993, I can leave my office at 5:50 p.m. to make a 6 p.m. dinner in Uptown Charlotte. Yes, there was a couple restaurants back then, only a few. Traffic today, that's a 30-minute trip, if I'm lucky, at 5:50 p.m. Clearly, we're seeing the congestion grow, and we see the congestion that's facing this region, and I think we all agree that it must be addressed with urgency and vision. We're deeply grateful for the many public and private leaders in dedicated countless hours to getting to this point. It's taken courageous and collaborative leadership from our county, from our city, and from our town managers, and from all of you, along with critical support from our legislature and our governor. Because of these efforts, this council now has the opportunity to place this vital referendum on the ballot and let voters decide. The Charlotte Regional Business Alliance is fully committed to supporting this initiative. Should you choose to move it forward, we stand ready to lead a clear, focused, and effective campaign to secure its passage. But our commitment goes and extends beyond the campaign itself. Supporting small and disadvantaged businesses is a critical pillar of the Alliance in our mission. Through the Alliance Foundation, we have worked to uplift micro businesses and are now focused on helping them scale and thrive. Anticipating the economic development that this will unlock, we have already begun conversations to partner with partners to ensure small business and disadvantaged businesses will profit and benefit from this. We believe the entire business community must align in an intentional way, ensuring that these businesses are not just included, but truly empowered to grow and succeed alongside the progress of that this initiative promises. Again, thank you for your careful consideration, and I ask that you vote to place this referendum on the ballot. Thank you.
We'll have Mayor Knox, Robert McCutcheon, J.G. Lockhart, and then Representative Mary Belk.
Manager Bryant, Chair Jarrell, Vice Chair Altman, and County Commissioners. I'm Rusty Knox. I'm the Mayor of Davidson, and I want to thank you for this opportunity. I'm glad that Malcolm Graham spoke earlier because when he brought up 1981, it reminded me, my Uncle Eddie was the mayor of Charlotte in 1981 when we got the first $400,000 to build the Charlotte Transit Center in downtown. So it's been a long journey in the Knox family for transit. I want to acknowledge that my town manager, Jamie Justice, is here. My Mayor Pro Tem, Autumn Ryerson Michael, is here. Commissioner Tracy Madison Brandon, Commissioner Ryan Fay, and Commissioner Steve Justice. We, along with 90% of the other elected officials in Mecklenburg County, have passed resolutions supporting the 1 cent sales tax for transportation. I'm not here solely to champion the long-promised rail line from Charlotte to North Mecklenburg, but to support a much greater vision for the future of our county. This transit investment is a pipeline for healthcare connectivity with Atrium and Novant. It will provide educational connectivity to Davidson College, Johnson C. Smith University, Johnson & Wales University, Central Piedmont Community College, the University of North Carolina, Charlotte, and the new Wake Forest School of Medicine. This transit investment will provide employment opportunities to so many of our residents who not only choose to utilize public transportation, but have to use public transit as a means of travel around the county. This transit investment will provide a proven path forward in economic development, as we have already witnessed in both South End and the North Triangle corridors. This transit investment will connect the 6th busiest airport in the world with our communities, our businesses, and our institutions of higher learning. This transit investment will greatly enhance our bus ridership, which is and will always be the backbone of public transit. This transit investment will further expand our micro-transit system to more than 19 zones in the county. It has been very successful in Mecklenburg County. This transit investment will, in my opinion, change the way we move around. The roads portion of the transit investment will be, for many communities like Davidson, transformative. In the first year, Davidson will realize about $3.1 million. Doesn't sound like a lot, but when you have a $22 million budget, it's a game changer. The low-hanging fruit we have for local transit projects, you can't measure it. To bolster our Vision Zero program, to expand our sidewalks and our side paths, to be able to afford to take care of our town-owned roads in a timely manner means one thing: a better quality of life for my residents. I ask you to vote to add this in November ballot and let the voters decide. At the end of the day, that's what this transit investment is about, bringing a better quality of life to all of Mecklenburg County. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, Madam Vice Chair, Mr. Manager, Madam Clerk, and County Commissioners. I'm Robert McCutcheon, and as the CEO of the Charlotte Regional Business Alliance, it's my pleasure to speak with all of you tonight on this truly historic evening. I'm relatively new to my role at the Alliance, but I'm proud to stand here before you, like so many of my Chamber and Alliance predecessors, and ask us to work together to create a better life for the citizens in the community throughout Mecklenburg County. Over the last 10 years since the release of the initial Chetty report, placing Charlotte dead last in economic mobility, your alliance and business community have worked tirelessly to make our community one where everyone has opportunity to be successful, no matter where they're born or where they come from. I'm proud to say that the work done by you and all of us here in this community has resulted in improving results. But the truth is we must continue to do better. Over the last 5 years, on survey after survey, we are told that structural issues with our infrastructure are keeping our community from enabling the opportunity that has come with the incredible economic success we've had. Long commute times, lack of access to equitable transit, and the need for more investments in our bus system have held back our community, much like being stuck in traffic. Tonight, you have the opportunity to allow the people of Mecklenburg County to break free of the congestion that has held us back and choose to take the next steps in investing in our own community. These investments will enable economic and social mobility in ways that will assist us in enabling greater economic mobility and access to jobs and opportunity. As David said, we at the Alliance stand ready to continue to assist in the job development and are ready to lead to make sure that those who have been disadvantaged and unable to access opportunity are lifted up and given the ability to compete for jobs and contracts. Our efforts at the Alliance to scale up entrepreneurs and provide jobs for everyone are showing great progress. And with your help and vote tonight, we can take the next step to help create a mobility plan that is truly equitable for all. I ask for your vote in support of placing the transit referendum on the ballot. Thank you, and I appreciate your time tonight.
Elected board members, my name is J.G. Lockhart. I stand before you today as a taxpaying citizen of Charlotte, which makes up 85% of Mecklenburg County residents and 85% of Mecklenburg County's tax base. Mecklenburg County has a population of 1.2 million residents. 1 million of those residents reside within Charlotte city limits. In effect, Charlotte, North Carolina is Mecklenburg County. With that knowledge, I ask each of you these questions as you ponder the decision to place a tax increase on the November ballot, which will generate $18 billion of tax revenue. Is this proposed tax increase fair to the citizens of Charlotte, who will pay 85% or $15 billion of the $18 billion for a transit plan highlighted by a commuter rail that will benefit less than 1% of Charlotteans? Is it fair that Charlotteans have been underrepresented in the planning and voting via the Metropolitan Transit Commission and the Public Transit Advisory Commission on the 2030 Transit Plan? Is it fair to Charlotteans that although they make up 85% of Mecklenburg County residents and tax base, they have had a 12% say in the planning and voting on matters that concern the city-owned Charlotte Area Transit System, or CATS? Is it fair to Charlotteans they will effectively pay more than $15 billion for a commuter rail that will serve less than 200,000 residents of Mecklenburg County who do not live in Charlotte? Why should Charlotteans pay $15 billion to fund a project that will, quote, connect the northern towns of Mecklenburg County and southern Iredell County to uptown Charlotte, end quote, as the plan is described? Many of the residents of Charlotte that I've spoken with have no idea this proposed plan was thought of, concocted, and pushed forward by a commission that only has one representative from Charlotte, or 12% of the voting rights for all of Charlotte's interests. The Metropolitan Transit Commission in its current form is a slap in the face of the hardworking people who actually live and work in the city limits of Charlotte. The 7 mayors of Mecklenburg County which surround Charlotte and who make up this commission should not have a majority say in how Charlotteans' tax dollars are spent for Charlotte Transit Solutions. If anything, these suburban mayors should have a 15% say, and Charlotte should have an 85% say in what happens for Charlotte's future. This transit plan in its current current form does not address the many issues within Charlotte city limits for bus and rail, so why should Charlotteans fund the projects outside of its city limits that will not directly benefit Charlotteans? As a native Charlottean, I take offense this sham of a plan has gotten so far ahead in planning and implementation, and the good people of Charlotte are being baited by visions of sugar plums by this commission, who is supposed to have the entire county of Mecklenburg's best interests at the forefront, with Charlotte being 85% of those interests. Charlotte deserves to have her interests placed first in any planning and implementation of any transit plans for the region, and that has not happened with the current plan as it is. Charlotte deserves to have any commuter or light rail project to begin and end within Charlotte city limits, if Charlotte has to bear the brunt of the cost. Hardworking Charlotteans who rely on public transit deserve to have a transportation system that works for them before constructing a system
Next up will be Representative Mary Belt, Charisma Sutherland.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman.
Hold on one second,
okay.
Representative Belk. We're going to have Representative Belk, we'll have Charisma Sutherland, Mayor Woody Washam, and Councilman Driggs.
Okay, can I go?
Yes.
Sorry about that, jumping that gun. It is different from being here, talking to you all. Good evening, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, everyone else who is here speaking this evening. My name is Mary Belk, and I have the honor of representing the people of District 88 in the North Carolina House of Representatives. I am a co-sponsor of House Bill 948, the PAVE Act, and I was proud to stand with my colleagues as Governor Josh Stein signed the bill into law on July 1st. I have lived in Mecklenburg County most of my life, graduating from Garinger High School, Central Piedmont, and UNC Charlotte. We've raised our 4 children here and are now taking great joy in seeing our granddaughter grow up here. I have watched our county grow into an economic juggernaut that attracts dozens of people daily. I take so much pride in our community as we have worked together to navigate that growth and to improve our neighborhoods. Through the years, we have been fortunate to have elected officials, business leaders, faith leaders, and neighborhood leaders with vision. We are a community committed to each other and determined to build a brighter future for generations to come. Tonight, you have an opportunity to take action that will move our community forward. Access to reliable transportation, whether that's a bus, a train, or microtransit, can be transformative for people, as you've heard here all this evening. It gives us new access to job opportunities, to health care services, and places of worship. Our community is stronger when more people have opportunity to improve their lives and those of their families. This is a chance to invest in our community, to invest in our future, to move us forward. I respectfully request that you bring the PAVE Act to the ballot in November. I'm confident that the people of Mecklenburg are ready to make that investment. Thank you so much for your time.
Hold on, Mr. Mayor. We have Ms. Sutherland first, and then you. Thank you.
Thank you. Chairman, Vice Chairman, Manager, Clerk, and Commissioners, thank you for the opportunity to speak. I am Charisma Sutherland, President of the Canopy Realtor Association. And I'm here on behalf of our members to urge your support for the transportation plan and its placement on the November ballot. Reliable transportation is still out of reach for many. This limits access to jobs, schools, health care, and affordable housing. A family should not have to choose between affordable rent and a 2-hour commute. With more than 130 people moving here daily, the pressure on our infrastructure is real. Our neighbors in York County have already seen the benefits of passing this measure with clear improvements. You can see driving from Mecklenburg County to South Carolina. At just a penny per per dollar, this is a once-in-a-generation investment. This economic return, 10 to 1, is undeniable. The realtors in the community, we stand with you. We ask for your leadership and your support in moving this forward. Our city has a responsibility to ensure our transit decisions close gaps, not widen them. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor. Thank you. Mr. Chairman, Madam Vice Chairman, and my own special representative here, Commissioner Powell, it's a pleasure to be with you. My name is Woody Washam, and I am a native of my hometown, Cornelius. It's a pleasure to serve in that capacity, and just want to tell you that this has been a long journey for us. It goes back about 5 years, and talk about persistence. I get accused of that, George and others up here, of appearing to you and being pretty persistent about things. But we had to stay persistent through this journey, and I'm glad we did. But I'm here as Mayor of Cornelius asking you to please place this on the ballot. Our community is without a question choked with congestion, and our businesses and communities are suffering. If you've ridden through my town, you know that. The balance struck in this bill and plan allowing the town of Cornelius to receive approximately $5.75 million in the first year of this tax is transformational, without a question. It'll help our road system finally get to a decent place that we can get around through the gridlock. And it'll also give our community, through the PAVE Act, a way for safer, faster, and more reliable travel times, which is truly important to us. In addition, the building of the Red Line, the Silver Line, the Gold Line fulfills the promises made to the community almost 30 years ago as far as the build-out of the transit system is concerned. Microtransit has been working extremely well in North Mecklenburg, as we've heard tonight, particularly from one of my good citizens. That warmed my heart to hear him speak tonight. And the promises of better bus services will help individuals who need service throughout the community. Our community, without a question, has united around this initiative, and we ask you to please step up and vote for this referendum tonight. The mayors of this county have worked, for the most part, hand in hand, and we have a good system and a good agreement for you to consider. And I hope you'll take us this next very important step of the journey. Thank you very much. Pleasure to be with you.
Next up, we'll have Councilman Driggs, then Charles DeLoach.
Wow. Okay. Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Ed Driggs. I'm the District 7 member of Charlotte City Council, and I chair the Council's Transportation Planning and Development Committee. We have come a long, long way to get to where we are tonight. I think all of you recall, you can go back to 1998, the original sales tax for transit, the creation of the MTC, the 2030 plan, the Blue Line, the engagement with the northern towns over the Red Line. And I want to emphasize, Charlotte spent $74 million to buy that Red Line corridor so that we could be here tonight. It couldn't have happened without that commitment by us and the conviction that we had to do that. The subject has come up at the General Assembly, imposing or at least objecting to a proposed allocation of funds. And the only thing I want to say about that is I personally don't think it's a bad thing. And I say that because this is not Manhattan. We cannot meet the mobility needs of a city that has the population density that Charlotte does solely with public transportation. Whether we like it or not, there will be a continued reliance on cars. And the goal of this plan is to achieve balance, to make investments in all of the forms of mobility so that people in cars get relief from less traffic and other people who don't have cars have a means of getting where they want to go. So I want to note, the MTC member community, managers, staff, engineers, advisors, and elected officials worked hard over a period of many months to reach agreement on draft legislation that would allocate up to 40% of tax proceeds to rail, 20% to bus, and 40% to road projects. The draft also called for the creation of a transit authority, and notably, and I want to emphasize this, it included a commitment by Charlotte and Mecklenburg County to solve the problem of orphan roads in the ETJ, which has vexed all of us. The draft was approved by the vast majority of elected officials representing all of the MTC member communities except Matthews, which was disappointed that funding would not be sufficient to build the Silver Line past Bojangles. This summer, the General Assembly approved HB 948, the PAVE bill, by bipartisan votes of both chambers, totaling 140 votes in favor and only 8 against. Bipartisan, everybody. As approved, the law is substantially the same as Mecklenburg leaders had proposed. This is Mecklenburg's plan, not the General Assembly's. And votes in favor included every member of the Mecklenburg delegation. Why am I telling you all of this? Because I want to remind you of this long road we have traveled, the huge investment we have made to get to this critical moment in our county's history. It would be a shame if we came this far and didn't give Mecklenburg County voters the chance to decide on the tax. If we don't continue along the path we are on now, it will take years to get back to where we are, and inflation will reduce the number of projects we can afford.
Thank you, Councilman.
All right, thank you.
Before you start, Mr. Deloach, after Charles Deloach, I will turn the gavel over to Vice Chair Altman to go through the next group of speakers.
All right, Mr. Deloach, before you begin, next up will be James Lee, Alan Dargins, Shobita Shurish, and Mayor Brad Simmons.
All right, thank you and good evening, y'all. My name is Charles Deloach, and I appreciate the opportunity to speak in favor of the PAVE Act this evening. I have a lot of friends in this room who disagree with me about this, and I hear a lot of great points. I have complaints about this bill as well. But there's a simple point that I have not heard addressed, which is that the roughly $18 billion that this is predicted to raise is over the course of 30 years. This isn't a tax that we'd raise all this money in a single year and spend it and it would be gone. From my friends who disagree with this measure, I have not heard a single one say that the 1 cent sales tax is too much money. It's just that the money is not being spent the way they would like to see. And to a degree, I agree. I think it would be better for us to invest more in public transportation. But we all know that the General Assembly is not going to give us that opportunity if we vote no on this bill. We would have to wait for Democrats to retake majority, which at the very earliest is 2030, if we are extremely lucky, right? If that were to happen, and we were to pass this bill, then we could amend it to allow for more public transportation with 25 years of revenue raising still to go. We would have the ability to make those changes after having made the down payment to start this construction, because we all know construction takes forever. As soon as we start spending money to lay down tracks, to get more people hired, to buy new buses, that is not a snap your finger things either. This is going to take years. And it can be made better over time as we push the General Assembly and as we make smart investments as a community. So I urge you to vote in favor, to give us the opportunity to vote yes. This is not a final say. This is a first step, and we can make this community better. Thank you.
All right, James Lee, maybe he's outside. I saw, oh, there he is. There he is. Sorry. And Mr. Alan Dargins, if you want to go ahead and come down on this side.
I want to talk about the cold, wet feet people today. Cold, wet feet people. There's the guy up there. He talked about that too. I ride a bike every day, so of course I couldn't ride my bike in the rain, but I had to take transit. So right now my feet are cold and wet from doing the work that I do in the community. So again, I want to talk about the cold, wet people. cold, wet feet people. I also want to address this to Robert McCutcheon, Michael Smith at the Center City Partners, and the folks who are going to be making this decision. I think that I don't mind hitting my pocket for this tax because I'm a taxpayer in Mecklenburg County. But I think it's important to show aesthetics that everybody's in this to win, right? I can't wait to get home to take a shower and get my feet warm because I've been wearing these cold, wet shoes all day. There's some folks that's been in the same situation in the city, got cold, wet feet. So this isn't a perfect plan like everybody said, but you need to have folks like me in the authority that's able to disseminate this information to folks that are going to be affected by the decision that you're going to make tonight. This is a pivotal moment in this community's history. There's been many pivotal moments in this community's history, one being when Mayor Brookshire in the 60s had to make a decision about what kind of city we were going to be. We were going to be a racist city, or we're going to be a city that tried to work together, right? So my mentor, Jim Polk, out of Greertown, he was part of that conversation to try to make sure that the conversation included everybody, right? Everybody needs to be here talking about this. So y'all know this is what I do. This is what I've been doing since my addiction ended. This is what I do. I talk before you guys, and I'm in spaces where I shouldn't be. If you looked at me years ago, I shouldn't have been somebody from the woods and on addiction in a space where I'm making change in the city, and the city that I love. I love Charlotte. I could have lived anywhere in the world after my military service, but I decided to come back home to see what I could do to make things better for not only for my family, but for other people too. So I'm in this to win it. I'm advocating to be on that authority because you need to have people like me on this authority. Not only here in Charlotte, but in these other towns too, to help you to make this a better plan. Because yeah, I'm going to get some people who I love and respect. You know, I'm going to be hearing it from them, but this is too pivotal of a moment for me to be quiet, because we're talking about what's going to happen in the future for Mecklenburg County. So thank you for your time.
And Shobita Shurish, if you can go ahead and come on down to this side. Please proceed.
Mr. Chair, Madam Vice Chair, Mr. Manager and Madam Clerk, and all the other county commissioners. Thank you so much for this opportunity. My name is Alan Dargins, and I am the Chair for Government Affairs for Canopy Realtors Association. For those of you who don't know, Canopy Realtor Association consists of more than 14,000 realtors who service our community. But more importantly, I am a native of Charlotte, North Carolina. Born and raised, won't tell you my age, but I went when there were only 12 high schools, and now there are 35. So that tells you something. I went to the prestigious Olympic High School, although I lived in Dalton Village, Reed Park area, and it took 45 minutes to go 6.5 miles. So transportation was a problem then, and what we're trying to do is be proactive and not reactive to keep the same things from happening now. I live in the North Charlotte side of town, up by Mount Holly, Huntersville. When I first moved up there 25 years ago, it took me 12 minutes to get here. That commute now is 25 to 35 minutes with bumper-to-bumper traffic coming down Brookshire Freeway. We have to be proactive in this. It's conducive to our children. It's conducive. I'm on the other side. I'll be in a home sooner than later. But I want my children to be able to come see me in a timely manner. And bring me Sunday dinner after church if I have to watch it on Zoom. So I implore you, I think the bigger thing is that we put this referendum on the ballot and then we educate our communities. Educate the people who are saying no. find out why they're saying no, and educate them that this is so important to our way of life. We do not want to be Atlanta. Atlanta is a thriving city. However, the first thing you say about Atlanta is the traffic. We don't want Charlotte to be that. We want Charlotte to be Charlotte. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Shobita Shurish and Mayor Brad Simmons.
Hello, my name is Shobita Suresh, and I live in South End, Charlotte. I'm a Sustain Charlotte ambassador and a young MECDEM, and I'm a big environmental advocate. I've always loved the quote, "An advanced city is not one where the poor have cars, but rather where even the rich use public transport." This transit tax brings us closer to that vision by funding a system that's frequent, reliable, and accessible for everyone. As I mentioned, I live in South End. It's one of the most walkable, rail-accessible neighborhoods in all of Charlotte. I love being just minutes away from the light rail and being able to get to work or the grocery store without needing to drive. But this kind of access shouldn't be a luxury. It should be the standard. We need to make it a priority in all of Charlotte's neighborhoods. As someone who works in sustainability, I know transportation is one of the biggest opportunities we have to lower emissions and improve quality of life. But that only happens if there are real alternatives to driving. Now, 40% of the revenue is allocated towards road projects, but I urge you to ensure that this funding supports people-first infrastructure, safer, more walkable streets, protected bike lanes, and complete streets that serves people, not cars. This is their chance to build a greener Charlotte, a more equitable and connected Charlotte, and most importantly, to let voters decide our future. So thank you, and vote yes for MEC.
Tanya Jameson, you are up next. Please proceed, Mr. Mayor.
Good, thank you. First, I'd like to thank Chairman Jarrell, Vice Chairman Altman, and the Mecklenburg County Board of Commissioners, especially our representative, Rodriguez McDowell from District 6. Thank you for allowing the Mecklenburg County residents to weigh in on this important decision on this historic referendum. As the mayor of town of Mint Hill, I could stand here all night and tell you what it means for us. But what we currently have is a carpool system to get down to this meeting this evening, okay? So we know that there needs to be improvements made county-wide, and that's why we're here tonight, supporting the other moves that are going to be made in the county. It's going to have a huge impact on the way traffic flows, improvements, intersection safety, and pedestrian facilities. Although many of the components of this plan do not directly impact Mint Hill, this referendum has impacts that reach beyond the borders of our town and could ultimately change the way residents and visitors travel throughout Mecklenburg County. The mobility improvements to our roads, rail, and bus systems would expand the way we all access business, service, and entertainment throughout the county. With Mecklenburg County currently in need of nearly $12 billion in infrastructure improvements, this plan has components that will solve congestion issues and relieve pressure from continued growth. This plan serves as a collective solution for our entire community and on investment in the network that serves all of us. Again, I appreciate you taking the time to hear from me this evening, and I respectfully urge you to offer the same to our constituents. Please let the residents of Mecklenburg County have their voices heard on this crucial issue by placing the transit referendum on the ballot for their vote. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mayor Simmons. Sherry Chisholm, you're next right here. And Ms. Jameson, you're up.
All right, thank you. Good evening, County Commissioners. My name is Tanya Jameson. I am the Director of Civic Advancement at Leading on Opportunity. Last November, I stood before you all asking you to support efforts to ease congestion on I-77 South. I return tonight to ask you to support again, this time to give voters the chance to shape the future of transportation in Mecklenburg County. Alongside our Director, Sherry Chisholm, I urge you to put the transportation referendum on the November ballot and let the people decide. Transportation has long been identified as a barrier to economic mobility for low-income families in our county. We're talking about some of the people who are living on Arrowwood and Nations Ford, the people in Pottstown, some of them, and many of the other communities where opportunity is out of reach because transportation is. I moved to Charlotte in the 90s when you could drive from one side of the city to the other in 15 minutes. I'm a long-time East Sider, first living at Margaret Wallace in Idlewild. Now I live off of Central Avenue, and I can barely get down Central Avenue in 15 minutes to get to Plaza Midwood, unless I ride my bicycle. So what changed? We grew every day. 140 people moved to this region. Most of them settle in Charlotte. Why? Because we've become more than a banking town. We're a vibrant, growing city with jobs, culture, and thriving neighborhoods. But our infrastructure hasn't kept up, and we feel it every day. That's why our government leaders have been pushing for this referendum and creating plans to improve infrastructure. Tonight's vote is a result of decades of planning, studies, meetings, focus groups dating back to the 90s. Neither putting the referendum on the ballot tonight nor passing it in November will be the end. This is just the beginning of building a region where the travel is reliable and predictable, where single mothers who we know benefit the most from public transit can get to work and take their kids to school of their choice, where families can access opportunity, more opportunity, not less. A report from 2020 by the American Public Transportation Association found that every $1 billion invested in transit generates $5 billion in gross domestic product and nearly 50,000 jobs. Every municipality in this county is already making plans on how they're going to put these dollars to work. At Leading on Opportunity, we have been advocating for years, from rerouting buses to expanding access. But these have been small tweaks. This referendum is our chance to make a big leap for everyone. Yes, it's bold. Yes, there will be lumps, but we can't afford to do nothing. We can't stop growth, nor would we want to, but we must take action to make sure it's done equitably. So please vote yes and let the people decide. Thank you.
Tony Long, you're up after our next speaker.
Good evening, County Commissioners, Manager Bryant. My name is Sherry Chisholm, and I'm the Executive Director of Leading on Opportunity. I moved to Charlotte 5 years ago with my husband, and we prepared to welcome our first child. We came here full of hope, ready to raise our daughter in a city that would see her brilliance and help it bloom. I want that for every child growing up in Mecklenburg County. Before Charlotte, I lived and worked in Atlanta for 10 years. I loved that city, but I knew it wasn't where I wanted to raise a family. The traffic was exhausting. At one point, my headquarters moved, and I did too, because our new location would require a 3-hour commute round trip. Charlotte traffic is bad, but it's not Atlanta bad yet. Right now, I can leave our home in the university area, drop our daughter off at a child care center in East Charlotte, and make it to work in Plaza Midwood in under an hour. That's quality of life. That's the kind of daily freedom I want for everyone in this community, because it matters. It's not just about convenience, it's about opportunity. In a study in 2018, economist Dr. Raj Chetty found that commute times were one of the strongest predictors of upward mobility. Children who grew up in neighborhoods with shorter average commutes were more likely to earn family-sustaining wages as adults. That's why I do this work. That's why Leading on Opportunity exists, and that's why I'm here tonight. Over the past several weeks, you've heard lots of arguments against putting a transit referendum on the ballot. I want to share a few reasons to say yes and examples of what's possible. In Minneapolis, a pilot program gave students free bus and light rail passes and saw a 23% drop in absenteeism. Imagine what that could mean for CMS students trying to reach high-performing schools. A New York study found that areas where better public transit access had lower unemployment. Think about our disconnected youth and how better transit could connect them to job training and career pathways. In Indianapolis, research showed expanding public transit would especially help lower-income residents, giving them access to the city's highest-paying jobs. Here in Mecklenburg, those jobs are scattered throughout the county. Without better transit, too many people are cut off from opportunity. This is a new and important moment, and you sit at the dais. Tonight, I ask you to give the people of Mecklenburg County the right to choose. Let voters decide whether they want to invest just a little more at the register to build a region where their children and their children's children thrive, where we can continue improving. As you know, we are 38th in economic mobility, and guess who's last? Atlanta. Please vote yes to put the transportation referendum on the ballot this November. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Long is next, and next will be Nichelle Dunlap Thompson. You can come on down.
Good evening, Board and Mr. Chairman. I appreciate this opportunity to address you tonight. Lived in Mecklenburg County 61 years, and as I'm standing listening to the young lady previous, was struck by how blessed I am to have this opportunity. And a story came to my mind most of the time when I'm addressing someone. It's about a story. In 1990, I was working with International House, and we were bringing Russians to America to let them see our system. Traveling from Charlotte to Charleston with a Russian guy who had never been in the U.S., he said, "Why are you only taking me on good roads?" I said, "Sir, I'm taking you on the interstate. You wanted to see the Atlantic Ocean." He said, "I think you're hiding from me." My point is, this is how we do things in this country, and we're blessed by being born here, and I'm grateful for this opportunity. And what is our greatest calling as an elected official? It's a voice for others. They have put us in these positions. Or could it be having a vision for the next generation, as one of the previous speakers spoke of? Because I'm further on in life. This is about the young people, the next generations, people that are moving here. It's not about me, but I think it's positive this goes on the ballot. I do endorse your action to place this on the ballot as a funding source. As a commissioner, the one thing I've heard is everyone, even the ones that move here, are the loudest at complaining about transportation. So hopefully this will help. And when you place decision-making in the public's hand, they usually make the right decision as they're informed, as the gentleman spoke earlier. This body has the vision, or else we wouldn't be having 130 to 150 people a day moving here. Thank you for this opportunity.
Commissioner Mark Tofano, you are on deck.
Good evening, Chair, Vice Chair, Commissioners, tiers of leadership. I am Evangelist Nichelle Dunlap Thompson, and my position has been recorded as in favor of this 1% sales tax, but I stand before you this evening to assure you that favor comes with contingencies. As an advocate for the working class in my community, projects of this sort often have a one-sided benefit, and my side, the black side, is the one left outside. Thus, the duality of my dilemma. As a labor advocate, I hold a deep understanding and interest in the hundreds of jobs these projects from the 1% sales tax increase will create. As a committee member and former CATS employee, it warms my heart to witness the growth of a system I committed endless hours to ensuring it runs properly and efficiently. As a community advocate for the underserved and underrepresented, I am terrified when I think of what will happen to those on the West Boulevard corridor or even down in the Steel Creek area. How will this project benefit every taxpayer? These are our dollars.
All right, we're going to do a check-in real quick here, talking a little bit about the PAVE Act, something that the governor has signed into law already. But obviously, as we know, a large majority of the PAVE Act is authorizing Mecklenburg County to put that 1% sales tax on the referendum for the November ballot, which is what you're hearing people for and against, community members of all types that we've heard, even council members from the city of Charlotte standing up. Ed Driggs coming before the council as well, speaking his mind. CEOs of a couple of companies. We even had the mayor, I think, of Cornelius that came for this public comment section of the PAVE Act and this 1% local sales tax referendum that they're trying to get on the ballot. So based on what happens on or in this meeting tonight, of course, we will let you know if that becomes a potential that comes to fruition, is that tax referendum showing up on the November ballot, which is what we're discussing or hearing them discuss right now at the public hearing. So go back to this going on right now.
This entire process. Will the public have a say in the forming of this new regional transit authority? How much background context will be made available for those holding the bag with our money inside of it? If we are unable to hold these conversations in the highest manner of integrity, then there's nothing else to discuss. I yield.
On deck, is this working? On deck, Greg Jarrell. Please proceed.
Good evening, Chair, Vice Chair, Commissioners, and staff. My name is Mark Tufano. I'm a commissioner in Matthews, North Carolina, and I'm here tonight to ask you to place the referendum on the November ballot, not to be construed as in favor of the legislation, but to be construed as one who is passionate about citizens having a voice in their governance, especially in their taxation. I am going to make an unsubstantiated claim, but I believe it to be true. I am the only elected official in all of Mecklenburg County that takes
All right, so having some issues with the feed from the county right now, but let's talk a little bit more about this legislation which passed. It did have broad bipartisan backing, and of course it's been discussed at length. So again, House Bill 948, which is the PAVE Act, and that incorporates the 1% local sales tax that we've had. So I do believe that we have the shot back up. We may or may not go back to it. What are we doing? All right, we're gonna go back to it now.
all the facts, both sides, for and against this referendum, to allow them to make an informed and intelligent decision. So I thank you very much for your time, and I wish the very best for all of you as you work through this process. All right, thank you. Have a good night.
Keith Cockrell, you are on deck.
Hi, good evening, Commissioners. On the edge of my beloved Enderley Park neighborhood at the intersection of Glenwood Drive and Interstate 85 is an Econo Lodge motel that for years has been like the final stop before the unfortunate choice of the shelter or the street. And next to it is a convenience store with a hot foods counter, fried chicken, French fries, other things. Those businesses complement one another in their services to some of the poorest residents of our community: day laborers, CNAs, school custodians, and their children. Several thousand people in our county are just barely hanging on in this way. They cannot afford yet another raise in their expenses, especially for marginal improvements in already meager services. Neither their rent or their daily bread will be spared from this tax. Across from the Econo Lodge on Pritchard Drive are dozens of residences, young families, older black homeowners, a handful of newcomers. Of late, those residents have watched their tax bills go up, a school bond, a rise in city taxes and fees increased, and by way of the 2023 property tax revaluation, the disproportionate shifting of the property tax burden from South Clark and areas like it towards long disinvested areas like Enderley Park. The squeeze is on, and a regressive tax furthers the challenges that these neighbors face while failing to transform their neighborhoods or their place within the city. In 1868, a black minister and a white minister, forebears in my vocation and in my faith, were the primary authors of North Carolina's new Constitution. In Article 1 of it, they riff on Thomas Jefferson, saying that all persons are endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights, and that among these are life, liberty, the enjoyment of the fruits of their own labor, and the pursuit of happiness. Their immediate meaning in that context, post-slavery and at the beginning of Reconstruction, was clear. but the trajectory of their words continues rightly into our moment in history. I hear in it, in this matter, as an important corrective. The people of Mecklenburg County deserve with the fruits of their labor better than the false choice presented tonight, the status quo on one hand, or a deeply flawed plan on the other. I urge you to vote no on this transportation tax.
Reverend Dr. Janet Garner-Mullins, you are up, or on deck, I should say.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, Madam Vice Chair, Mr. Manager, Madam Clerk, and to all the commissioners. Thank you for your service and your commitment to this community that we love. I am Keith Cockrell, President of Bank of America here in Charlotte, and former chair of the Charlotte Regional Business Alliance. As a major employer in this region, I thank you for the opportunity to share some perspectives regarding the proposed transportation plan. This plan provides historic investments in roads, rail, and bus service to enhance the quality of life for our employees and neighbors across this region. It's a regional plan providing employees economical choices, giving employees the choice on where to live, work, educate their children, access to health care, gives them all the opportunity to reduce travel time to and from work, school, and faster first responder times when necessary. Not to mention low-cost opportunities to access the wonderful arts, cultural, and entertainment options that makes us uniquely Charlotte. I would suggest that this plan is a key enabler to ensure all of our friends and neighbors have the ability to live, work, raise a family in this rapidly growing community. The plan provides current and future employees with options on where to live, managing the rising cost of housing, parking, food. The plan will enable our communities to be more accessible, walkable, safer for drivers, commuters, riders, walkers, and bikers. Simply stated, the plan will make us more competitive, enabling me and other business leaders across this region to attract the very best workers, whether they're here in Charlotte, across this region, or across this country, quite frankly, to continue to build on economic opportunity for all. We are here today because elected officials and business leaders who preceded us had the courage and the vision.
All right, they will be voting on whether to put this on the referendum, or this referendum on the ballot in November. And of course, Julie Kay is at the meeting. She'll have updates for us tonight at 11 here on WCNC. We'll have other news for you as well. Thanks for joining us from 7 to 9 here on WCNC Plus.